Michael, the China Green Project has been at this for 7 years now here in New York, monitoring the Chinese environmental situation. Are you detecting movement for the better in China, or is it still on a downward slope in terms of water and air quality?
In general, I think it's still, the environment in general is still worsening, and that's just a fact that a lot of people are, of course, complaining about things that are easy for them to detect: air, water, food safety, and a host of other issues.
What form do the complaints take? Can people organize, protest?
They go to petition, they go to sometimes extreme actions like burning themselves. If no help comes available, if things don't go their way, they probably go to Beijing or their provincial capital to file their complaints, and sometimes they resort to suicides.
What is the central government's posture toward these kinds of environmental complaints?
It's really a very delicate game for Beijing to dictate what the local governments do. Sometimes the local governments don't want to listen to Beijing because they want the GDP and all the economic data running cool, and they have to rely on those polluting industries sometimes. Otherwise, you don't have an economic growth.
The central government is taking a new policy toward coal that is viewed in some respects as discouraging the overuse of coal, which is dirtying up the air considerably. But others believe this new policy might actually prolong the use of or dependence on coal as a source of energy. What's your outlook on that?
Yeah, I think unlike the U.S. has done a good job of diversifying its energy mix, and I think coal is less than half of the total energy picture. But in China, coal is still 70 to 80%, and we don't see any signs of the coal proportion coming down dramatically over the next couple of decades. It's probably still going to be way more than 50% of the total energy mix, although China is really spending a lot of money and time to develop solar, wind, and hydro. There's a lot of NGOs popping up around the country, and a lot of the NGOs are really pushing a lot of the issues to the front of the headlines and also in front of the government officials. The NGOs are the mirror of the public attitude that these issues can't wait. We can't just push them off to the next generation.
Are you generally optimistic, looking forward a generation that as China gets richer, it will get greener?
I think China has this sort of can-do spirit. But again, I think China is still a somewhat development story, and for that to happen, it's still building power plants, it's still building dams, it's still building highways. There's still an upward trend of the energy use, and that's not helping. And I think people's lives are getting better for the most part. But I think if you look at the whole picture, the environment is taking a hard toll on a lot of fronts.